I gotta be honest. The marketing for Titanfall drove me far away from this game. I went from thinking it looked pretty neat to never even wanting to look at it ever again because of the commercials, the amount of time that they played them, everything, the hype, quote unquote hype. Also because everyone compares this to Call of Duty, and I hate Call of Duty. You know, it is made by some guys who used to make Call of Duty, but then they got screwed over by Activision, and they were like, you know what, Activision, fuck you. Okay, we're gonna go make our own Call of Duty, but it's gonna have blackjack and hookers, but instead of blackjack and hookers, they decided to put in giant robots and parkour. You know, and then it was free on Origin for a small amount of time, and you know me. I gotta try shit out if it's free, I just gotta. I will say, it looks and runs a lot better than Call of Duty Ghost, and my connection to the match almost always felt more stable. You know, and on its own, this game actually looks pretty good. There are an actual variety of colors in the levels, and the enemy soldiers actually don't blend in with the background. You can actually see what you're trying to shoot at. And then when it crashed, the screen was white instead of black, so that's easier on the eyes. I don't really feel like a comparison to Call of Duty is completely fair, but there are some things on the surface that make this feel like a COD game. The things that stick out to me as feeling very Call of Duty-ish are the shooting and sprinting and kill cams and instant respawn and all that shit. It all basically feels the same as a Call of Duty game, but there are elements that make these things work a whole lot better in Titanfall. Basically, two main things. Number one, the Titans. The big ass robots that you could call down to pilot. These create a really interesting dynamic objective. Defending and attacking them becomes sort of like its own team goal that brings everyone together and makes it feel like what you're doing actually matters. Piloting a Titan matters because you can score a lot of points for your team. Defending another friendly Titan and keeping it alive matters so that it can continue to add a lot of points to your team's score. Attacking and killing enemy Titans also matters so you can prevent them from scoring all those points. It adds a common goal, a unifying objective, even to a mode like Team Deathmatch where normally the team would be separated and not really function as a unit. While in Call of Duty, even when you do have an objective, like on the ground war game type or whatever, nobody fucking cares about the objective because it's forced and no one even works together then. And an instant respawn and the way the weapons feel in the game don't complement the way the objectives are structured in Call of Duty, and nobody really plays them. They just run around on their own trying to get kill streaks. The Titan is like one big thing in Titanfall that you can all agree on. You can all agree that it's important enough to commit your attention to. The other thing in this game that changes it up is wall running and double jumping, allowing you to climb on and run over everything. You can get anywhere on the map. All the boundaries feel organic. There are no waist-high walls you feel like you should be able to easily hop over but can't for some reason. You can go anywhere and climb on anything and do it fast. It feels amazing, and it complements the way that the guns feel, how accurate they are, how fast you respawn. The pace of the game is hugely sped up. Everything feels like it goes really well together, and all the levels are designed around the interesting navigation and the Titans. It's not just a bunch of random crap thrown together in a level with a few context-sensitive you can run on this wall fucking situations or buttons. You can run on everything, and everything feels deliberately placed. Everything feels thought out and deliberately placed to be fun to run through and climb on. I also feel that because they weren't restricted to real settings that actually exist, they were able to come up with much more interesting and creative ideas and concepts for these levels. With all those positive out of the way, I gotta say it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here, okay? I gotta talk about grunts and specters. Grunts are AI controlled weak ass people for you to shoot, and that's it. You know. Now my personal instinct in a game like this is to focus on one enemy target, you know. So there have been a lot of times that I have died to other human players because I was preoccupied by focusing on shooting a grunt. They're distracting to me. They don't matter. The only reason they're there is to be shot. There's something to shoot at while you run through the level in between encountering other players. And only around 12 players can play together at a time on a server, so the levels, which are huge to accommodate the Titans, would feel empty without something to flesh them out. And I see why they chose this small player limit. You know, I see why they chose to limit the player count to a low number. If there were more than 12 people, there could potentially be way too many Titans, and that wouldn't be fun. The level would feel cramped, and they wouldn't matter as much. But on the other hand, if you increase the player count and limit it, it might have a similar effect, because some people would feel left out. They wouldn't get a chance to play in a Titan, and they wouldn't care about the objective as much either. I honestly feel like the amount of players that they chose is a really good number, and I like the idea of grunts or something that could flesh out the level and make it feel like a real battle without increasing the player count too much. But at the same time, I feel that the way that they implemented it into the game came out really annoying and distracting. Another thing that I hate, my other huge issue with this game, is the stupid smart pistol. All you have to do to use it is vaguely point it in the direction of an enemy, and it will automatically line up an instant kill shot after like a second or two. It's annoying. I understand with the fast pace of the game, it's hard to aim, especially for you guys who play with a controller. It'd be almost impossible. It frustrates me though. It wouldn't be needed if this game was purely meant to be played with mouse and keyboard, and I feel that this pistol only decreases the amount of skill needed. It feels cheap. This game could have been on the same level as maybe even Quake, but I think that this smart pistol that aims for you just cheapens the whole experience. And my final thoughts are a couple of minor gripes that don't really matter. The Titan's mobility is a little bit too limited in my opinion. Of course they're going to make them big and slow and clunky to balance out their huge size and power, but there's no jump in a Titan. There's only a dash, so your movement options feel limited when you're surrounded by obstacles and buildings. I think you should be able to be surpassed easily by a Titan, but I don't know. And when you enter the Titan, the animation to get picked up, put inside the Titan, close the doors, and turn on the screen seems like it takes way too long. I just wish it was faster. I feel like it just kind of breaks up the normally fast-paced flow of gameplay a little bit too much. But other than that, I'm pleasantly surprised by this game. What do you think about this game? Leave your comments, suggestions, rate, comment, subscribe. Tell me all about it. I don't know. Just